Morning everyone, how are you all? Hope you're all fine. This is your English teacher Mr. Ismail. Welcome back to our English grammar classes, and we are concentrating towards the topic called voices. My dear children, whereas in the previous class we were concentrating towards the past continuous tense. The past continuous tense in active voice, and when we are changing it into passive voice, it will remain in the past continuous tense itself, past continuous plus being. So these things very clearly we have discussed in our previous class. But whereas in the previous class, when I was dropping the class, by the time I had given you two examples to solve, most of the students were solved exact correct answer they solved and sent me back, whereas a few students they solved wrong. They said that they try to change the sentences. In a sense, we can understand very clearly you are not at all properly listening the classes. Whereas the two example which I had given on the board in the previous class, one example was he was dancing on the floor. So my dear children, I asked you to solve the sentence into passive voice and you tried to solve. I am not saying that you did not try, but you tried to solve. And in case when you are trying to solve the sentences like as a dancing and go, so such kind of intransitive form of a verb if you are trying to change in a sense, then definitely you are not at all following up my classes. Whereas in the previous class, I mean to say the few classes before, so in that classes very clearly I have instructed you intransitive form of verbs or the stative form of a verb, so we cannot change from active to passive. I said, even though you tried, in a sense you are not listening it properly, that I got a clarification. So please listen the class in a clear manner so that such kind of a blunder mistake should not commit in the future. So before continuing the classes, I just want to instruct you all, request everyone, so please subscribe the video. Subscribe button will be there at your left side or the right side, so please click that button so that whenever I am going to upload the video directly, it can come to your YouTube channels. So please subscribe the video class. So now let's focus towards after the past continuous tense, the next tense we are concentrating in today's class, that's a past perfect tense. In voices, the past perfect tense, when we are changing the past perfect tense which are there in the active voice, then in passive voice if you are trying to change, it will convert into past perfect continuous tense. It will convert into past perfect continuous tense. Okay, in case if the active voice sentences are there in the past perfect tense, when you are changing it into passive voice, the sentence it will convert into past perfect continuous tense. Okay, then let's concentrate towards the formulas of active voice past perfect tense, or the rules of active voice past perfect tense. The rule or the formula number one is subject plus had plus V3, third form of verb, plus object. Subject plus had plus V3, third form of a verb, then at lastly object. So please remember the formula. Before this also we have discussed about the formulas and all, because clear chart I am giving before continuing or before starting every tenses, that already you know about the formulas, but just for the formalities we have to do. Subject plus had plus V3, third form of a verb, plus object. So this is what the formula of a past perfect tense in the active voice. Then past, when we are changing it into passive voice, as I have told you clearly, the sentence of a past perfect which is there in the active voice, when we are changing it into passive voice, it will become past perfect continuous tense. Passive past perfect continuous tense. So let's concentrate towards the formula or the rules of a passive sentence of a past perfect continuous. In case if the active voice are there in the past perfect tense, then when we are changing it into passive voice, it will convert into past perfect continuous tense. Then if you are changing it into past perfect continuous tense, in a sense we have to use the helping verb of past perfect continuous tense only. Okay, so let's see the passive form of a past active form of past perfect to, when we are changing it into passive, it will become past perfect continuous tense. Then formula or the rules of passive form in past perfect continuous tense is object will come at first plus had. As we have noticed that had is the helping verb in the past perfect, plus the had is the helping verb even in the past perfect continuous also, plus been. Object plus had plus been plus V3, third form of a verb, plus by as a mandatory conjunction we are using, and at lastly subject. The active voice formula in past perfect is subject plus had plus V3 plus object. When we are changing it into passive voice, it will become past perfect continuous tense. So passive past perfect continuous tense formula is object plus had plus been plus V3 plus by plus subject. So when we are concentrating towards the two different tenses here in active and the passive, so first let us focus towards the definition of past perfect tense. When we were discussing about the tenses, by the time we have noticed very clearly, we have discussed the definitions of each tense. The past perfect tense, what it is saying, the action which has started in the past and ended in the past. The action which has started in the past and ended in the past itself, and about that completed action we are discussing at the present. There we are using past perfect tense. I'll draw one timeline for make you to understand it in easy manner. For example, this is what the timeline here. This we can give it as a, and in between of that I am giving it for the B, and at lastly I am mentioning it as a C. So A is the starting point of a work in the past perfect tense. Then again B, it is a completing time of the work in the past perfect tense. And C, about that completed work we are discussing at present. Hope you are understanding. The freedom fighting struggle movement has started in the year of 1857. India got freedom in the year of 1947. 1947. So that I can call it that India had got independence on 1947. So it means the struggle started on 1857 or before that, you can imagine. Then we finally got independent on 1947. We can call it out. So there we can use had, such kind of the sentences. Hope you are able to understand the definition of a past perfect tense. Then what's the definition of a past perfect continuous tense? The action which has started in the past and that action it is continued even till the, it means the B action it is ended here. The past perfect continuous tense, what it is saying, A action started here, then it continued up to this much. It means near to the present it is continued. A very near to the present it is continued. There we are using the past perfect continuous tense. Very recently that work have completed. So there we are using past perfect continuous tense. Hope you are understanding the meaning or the definitions of a past perfect tense and a past perfect continuous tense. So let's focus towards the examples of the voices which are there in the active voices are there in the past perfect. Then if you are changing the past perfect active voice, it will convert to past perfect continuous tense in passive. So each example in clear manner we are going to concentrate. So please listen the class and don't forget to press the button or the bell icon of subscribe. So example number 1. He had taken lunch. He had. He is the subject as per the formula of past perfect tense. Subject plus had plus V3 plus object. He is the subject we have taken. Had we have taken. He had. Had as the helping verb we have used. Take, took, taken. So taken is the V3 here. Then at lastly we are finding lunch as an object. So as per the formula or the rules of past perfect tense active voice is very clear. It's all in the assertive sentence. See, subject plus had plus V3 plus object. So as per the rules only we are going. He had taken lunch. He had taken lunch. If we are changing it into passive voice, it will become past continuous tense of passive. First, what is the formula of the past continuous tense of passive is object. So here the object is lunch. So here we have taken object at first, lunch. Don't call it as a lunch. It is lunch. Lunch. Then again helping verb had. Had is the helping verb. Then again been, to been we have used it. Then V3 it is a compulsory. We have used V3 also. Taken. Then again by, mandatory conjunction. Then him. So here he it is there. So he will convert into him when we are changing that subject into object type. Okay. So he had taken lunch. Active voice. Then passive voice of this sentence is lunch had been taken by him. He had taken lunch. It's in active voice of past perfect tense. When we are changing it into passive voice, it will convert past perfect continuous tense. Lunch had been taken by him. Then second example, you had made a house. You had made a house. Let's change it into passive voice. A house had been made by you. A house had been made by you. Here you may get a little confusion, my dear friends. You may ask me a question, sir. When you are changing the subject he into passive voice, subject to passive voice, when you are changing that, then you have converted it into him. For example, he had taken lunch. A lunch had been taken by him. So he has converted into him. Why can't you change that you into in another form? Definitely it will not change. Reason is the second person always remain as a second person only. It means the listeners will remain as a listeners itself. So sometime they are going to be the talk. When they are going to talk, they will become a first person. Then another listener one will be there. He can be the second person again. Always the listeners are second persons only. So you had made a house. A house had been made by you. Next, she had cooked a meal. She had cooked a meal. When we are changing it into passive voice, it will become meal had been cooked by her. She to her, he to him, you to you only. Okay. Meal had been cooked by her. Next, they had not. This is quite a different one. I have taken it as a negative sentence. So for assertive we have come, and now we are discussing about two sentences which are there in the negative forms. Let's see first assertive sentence. He had taken a lunch. Assertive sentence in active voice. Passive voice it will become lunch had been taken by him. Easily we are changing. You had made a house. It's in assertive sentence. In passive voice, it will become a house had been made by you. Then she had cooked a meal. It is in the assertive sentence of active voice. When we are changing it into passive voice, it will become meal had been cooked by her. Then in case if the sentences are there in the negative sentence, how we can identify or understand it is a negative? Just because of a single word. That we can call as a not. No, not, never, neither. Such kind of the words are there which are expressing the negativity or the negativeness. So because of this negative words, entire sentence will convert into negative. The sentence which will remain as a positive, it will convert into negative. For example, let's think that if there is no not, then how the sentence will be? They had written an exam. Positive it is. They had written an exam. So add the not for that, for the helping verb. So then it will become that they had not written an exam. It is in the negative. So in case if the sentences are there in the negative, when we in assertive sentence, if the active voice sentences are there in the negative sentences, when we are changing it into passive voice, then what are the things it is going to be give? See, they had not written an exam. So when we are changing it into passive voice, had not to had not, it will remain as it is itself. We need not to worry about it. Okay, had not to had not only. Only the thing that we have to bother, that's V3 should be there, by must be there, and subject place should be at last and object should be first. Okay, they had not written an exam. Negative sentences of us active voice. Then when we are changing it into passive voice, it will become that an exam had not been written by them. They had not written an exam. When we are changing this active voice into passive voice, an exam had not been written by them. They to them it is changed. Next, we had not read the book. We had not read the book. When I am changing this sentence, active voice sentence, into passive voice, it will become the book had not been read by them. They, see, let me recall one more time. They had not written an exam. An exam had not been written by them. Negative sentence of active voice. Then in passive voice also it will remain as a negative sentence itself, but only the thing that we are using subjects at last and the object at first itself. Let's see. Next. They had not written an exam. An exam had not been written by them. We had not read the book. The book had not been read by them. 3 sentences of assertive we have discussed. Then again 2 sentences of negative we have discussed. Assertive over, then negative over. The next which are going to be remained at after assertive, negative, the next one is interrogative. Interrogative in a sense which are going to be created questioning one. Whereas in the previous class we have discussed that if I want to make yes or no type of a questions or interrogative type of a questions, then I have to use a helping verb at first. So here, which is the helping verb of the past perfect tense? Had. Obviously a single helping verb is there, so that's a had itself. Had, we are using it at first as the questioning word. Whereas in the previous class we were discussing about the few rules. If the active voice sentence or the word it is beginning with the questioning word, then the answer of or the passive voice will also be in the questioning word itself. So let's focus towards that. Had I helped you? It's in the active voice itself. Had your lunch? Had your dinner? How we are asking in similar manner. We are going to concentrate towards here. Had I helped you? Here there is a verb. Okay. When we are asking that had your dinner, there is no verb in that because the had itself it is standing as a had, a helping verb. Sorry, main verb. Okay. So let's focus towards that. Had I helped you? Had I helped you? This is what the questioning word. Then again, when we are changing it into passive voice, interrogative sentence into passive voice, when we are changing active voice sentence, if the active voice sentences are there in the interrogative, when we are changing it into passive voice, it will again carry out the same questioning word itself. Had you been helped by me? See, had I helped you? Interrogative form of a sentence which are there in the active voice. When I am changing it into passive voice, it will become had you been helped by me? Next, had she made a plan? Had she made a plan? When we are changing it into passive voice, it will become that had a plan been made by her? Had a plan been made by her? So such kind of examples we can notice out. I am giving you as a homework minimum 5 sentences. Please change it into interrogative. Interrogative sentences. Take all the 5 sentences in active voice which are there in the interrogative form. When you are change all those interrogative sentences which are there in the active, change it into passive voice and send me back. So let me see that how much you are following me. So please listen the classes whichever we are sending you in a proper manner. And the next class we are going to discuss some more examples which are related to the negative sentences and interrogative sentences of past perfect active tenses, active, then again past perfect continuous tense of passive. Okay. So please in the next up to the next class stay safe at your home. Not only the next class, please be safety. Take all the safety measures whichever possible by you. Unnecessary, don't go at the market areas. Then please take care of your elders and angers. So in the next class we'll meet. Till then, please stay safe. Thank you.